Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Bluffing and drawing a line in the sand, these are two very dangerous tactics. Why? Because you need to back them up with something in case it happens that the guys catch you with a bluff or they cross the line that you draw in the sand. You're gonna be humiliated if you have no backup plan. What happened? The Ukrainians obviously hit Crimea and a bridge in Crimea with shadow missiles from storm shadow missiles from Great Britain. The Russians warned, I don't know why do you warn, but anyway, if you don't do anything about it, warned the West, which is United States and Great Britain in this case, 2 days ago. Don't use HIMARS or storm shadow missiles to hit Crimea. You are planning it. And if you do this, you are directly involved in the war. Oh, special military operation. Well, they did it. So what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? Nothing. Nothing. So I have here about 4 or 5 articles plus 2 maps. The Ukrainians successfully hit a bridge that connects Crimea with Kherson, I think it is. So let's look over the first article, which I covered it something related 2 days ago, on Tuesday, where Ukraine-Russia war, Ukraine planning storm shadow attack on Crimea, and that happened, which is right here from today. Ukraine hits bridge linking Crimea to mainland in blow to Russian supply route, correct? And then you have this one, explosions reported in occupied Zankoy, Crimea. So obviously the Ukrainians were successful, and these guys 2 days ago, the Russians told us the Ukraine is planning to use storm shadow. And that's exactly what they used for the bridge. And what happens if they use the storm shadow? Nothing, they just blow your positions up. Ukraine is reportedly planning to attack occupied Crimea with HIMARS and British storm shadow missiles. Russia has claimed in a warning to Kiev and the West. What's the warning? What do you mean? It's a war. They look at you as you attacked Ukraine unprovoked. So what do you expect? What are you going to do about it? You either shut up or you shoot these things down, and the HIMARS as well, or the ones that are launching this, the airplanes and the batteries. So Sergei Shoigu, the Russian defense minister, said that Russia would retaliate if Ukraine started hitting the territory that Vladimir Putin annexed in 2014. Well, what's new? We know that. You should, because that's how the war is. So how are you going to retaliate? The same old, same old? And he says, the use of these missiles, I'm quoting, outside the zone of our, but our meaning Russian, special military operation, not Ukrainian military operation, would mean that the United States and Britain would be fully dragged into the conflict. Well, I want to see what do you mean dragged? They've been dragged from the very beginning. What are you going to do? Nothing. And would entail immediate strikes on decision-making centers in Ukraine. Oh, you haven't been hitting those? Why? Because I think it's a controlled war. That's why. Why wouldn't you destroy the decision-making centers in Ukraine? I mean, it's part of the war. You try to destroy the brain and then everything else collapses. I mean, what is going on? So here it is, right? Crimea might become within target of Ukraine's arsenal of missiles and artillery as its counteroffensive pushes further south. So let's see. Reuters, Ukraine hits bridge linking Crimea to mainland in blow to Russian supply route. Correct, okay. So let's go down here. Ukraine missiles struck one of the few bridges linking the Crimea Peninsula with Ukrainian mainland earlier on Thursday, cutting one of the main supply routes for Russian occupation forces in southern Ukraine as Kiev pushed to drive them out. So they say like this, they released a video of Konhar road bridge, where craters have been blasted through the asphalt. So let's see where that is. All right. They say is right here. this map, and I got another map right here, which has both Cyrillic and how should I put it, our kind of letters. And we have here, this is probably here, they hit something in this area, because this is Konhar. This is the route these guys destroyed. They show it right there. I'm guessing it should be here somewhere. All right, this one here. But over there, this is Konhar, and this is where it was hit. And the other one is Zankoy, which is right here. So the Ukrainians were able to hit from across the Dnieper River right here. Bam, bam. And the distance is, if this is 10 miles here, let's make it a little bit bigger. So that's going to help us. Come on. So this is 10 miles. I don't think it's more than 10 miles. So it's about, I don't know, 80 miles, 100 miles, as I said. So let's go back to this. Explosions reported in occupied Zankoy, Crimea. As I said, Zankoy is right here. This is Zankoy. So they hit Zankoy and they hit this bridge over here. Good success, right? I mean, the success is good anyway, right? So there was panic in Zankoy. All right, I got that one. And I have this one. Ukraine strikes bridge to Crimea with British missiles. They also, the Times, they also, how do you call it, brag about it. So there's no way around it. So if I go right here with this, oh, Russia, Ukraine is planning storm shadow attack on Crimea. Okay, they did it. Now what? Ukraine strikes bridge to Crimea with British missiles. And then we have these two maps. So let me show you another map, which I think is going to be also relevant. Let's go to this little thing here first, where we have it from Sputnik. Ukraine strike on Konhar bridge on border with Crimea, a diversionary tactic. Doesn't matter, it was successful. Right here, this is how they blew it up. And I don't think this is the only one. Okay, so a concrete sabotage effort. I don't think it's sabotage. I think it's clear war. What are you talking about? I think that most likely a French multiple rocket launcher, an analog to HIMARS, was used with ammunition with a range of 150 kilometers. Judging by the holes visible on the bridge, it is very similar to the scene on the Antonov bridge across the Dnieper, which Ukraine fired at with HIMARS, said Alexei Leonkov, adding that he believed French complexes like the US-made HIMARS had most likely already been delivered to the Kiev regime. According to an analyst, if it had been a Storm Shadow missile, it has a warhead of over 450 kilograms. The entire bridge span could have collapsed. And here we see just a hole in the bridge which was damaged, but the supports are intact. So they say it was not the Storm Shadow, it was the French thing. The French thing analog to that. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. They did it. I don't understand why they didn't use Storm Shadow. They would destroy the whole thing instead of cratering it. And I'm quoting, this is a terrorist Kiev regime. What else can they do? Only resort to terrorist attacks, sabotage, and consider this some kind of a victory. This has absolutely no effect on the strategic situation in the special military operations zone, Alexei Leonkov concluded. Well. And let me show you something else here, which is always good to look at, which is the map provided by the Russians from Sputnik right here. So you can see better here, using this map, where the whole thing occurred. So here is where there's the contact line, and this is a bridge right here, and this is the little Zankoy town. So they hit from here. Unfortunately, this map doesn't have distances, but I'm very familiar with this thing here, which is called Romania. So I know the distances, for instance, from between Sibiu and Brasov. This is about 140 kilometers. That is going like that, not a straight line. So I would say about 100 kilometer straight line. So it's 100 kilometers. It's about 60 miles. So that would be about, let me just about 120, maybe not even. Let's put it in this so we can have Sibiu and Brasov. And it's about the same distance between Sibiu and Brasov, maybe a little bit longer. So about 120 kilometers, about 70 miles, about, if it's right from the contact line. If it's a little bit back here, then obviously you add to that. So, my friends, here is, now what? This is my question. Now what, Shoigu? What are you going to do? I can use this little hand with a movement up and down. If that's exactly what you're going to do with this. Yes, you keep saying the Americans are involved. They've been involved from the very beginning. The first time they sent the first bullet to Ukraine, there's been involvement. So the problem is always, you drew that line in the sand. You said it many times that if they hit this, they will do this. You are consistent doing that. I gotta give that to you. Good or bad, whenever the Russians said something, they did it. As I said, good or bad. So again, the command centers, command and control centers, I don't understand why they did not do this in a year and a half already, almost. Well, we'll see. We'll see who's next, because they say, well, we destroyed Zaluzny, we destroyed Budanov. Who's going to be next? I mean, the only thing when the Russians are warning or threatening or saying we're going to hit that, when they tell the Americans and the Brits that, and not the Ukrainians, that tells me, at least I think that they tell them, hey, we're going to hit your boys in the command centers in Ukraine. That's why now open, how's that? Free shooting or open range or whatever. So that's what I think the Russians are communicating. If they use your weapons, we're going to hit the command centers. And then my guys will be like, so? What do you tell us? Well, because you got your boys over there. Probably that's what it is. Planners. When you see all those, that video with Zaluzny over there, I'm showing him, and the Americans and the Brits and the French and the British are behind the cameras waiting. Come on, man, make the video, get the fuck up, and let's go back to work. That's what I think. I'm waiting. And another thing is, how come that missile was not shot down by the fantastic S-400, 300, Pantsir, Zapalir, Kapalot, Kapatsam? Another question. That's an embarrassment. I mean, that's however we want to take it, that's a strategic position. Should it have been defended? Yes, I think so. First line first, and then maybe by the position. They don't have enough air defense systems, seems like, and they're not good enough. Which one is it? Don't have them, not good enough. Or they have them and they're not good enough. They don't have them, what is it? It's true, you can't defend every little position, but I think that was kind of important here. You can bring a supply, into the Crimea. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.